The night settles like velvet spilled across a forgotten throne. Clouds drift like gossip in a queen's parlor, hush-colored and slow, brushing the moon with careless affection. Lanterns blink awake in crooked towers, their light dim and drowsy, like they too are trying not to fully commit to being conscious. Somewhere, bells tolled not urgently, not mournfully, just a sleepy reminder that yes, time still exists. But don't worry, you probably won't make it through this day. That's the whole point. If sleepy tales of dragons and lost spells are your kind of magic, gently like this video, don't wake the ghosts. Subscribe if you'd like more, and tell us in the comments where you're watching from and what time it is in your kingdom. Now let's ease into tonight's journey. You are walking on ancient stone, older than names. The wind sighs through the hollows of a ruined keep, carrying with it the scent of damp moss, burnt cedar, and something metallic like forgotten magic rusting in the corners. You've come to Dragonmere, not the Dragonstone from royal maps. No, this place was left off every scroll on purpose. Even the cartographers, brave little souls with ink-stained sleeves and oversized egos, quietly chose not to sketch this region. Too foggy, they claimed. Too many goats, one insisted. They were lying. Dragonmere isn't foggy, it's evasive. Like a secret you almost remember, but never quite. Trust. The ruins here were once painted with crushed sapphire and bone dust white. A summer palace for a Targaryen aunt who wore chainmail under her silk and named her geese after old lovers. Yes, really. Goose Tyrick was particularly aggressive and once bit a Lannister. A scroll found in the archives of Old Town whispers of her, Serenia of the Valley Blood, who kept a dragon under her bed and drank peach wine out of her brother's golden crown. Historians still debate if the dragon was metaphorical, but the crown cup definitely wasn't. You step over cracked marble, patterned like dragon scales. You see where a fresco once was faded now, but the outline of a woman with silver braids and bare feet still remains. Her arms are lifted as if casting a spell or surrendering to the stars. There's an eerie warmth here, despite the night. Some say the ruins sleep with a dragon's last breath, trapped beneath the stones, waiting for a voice that knows the old lullabies. A sparrow lands near you, blinks, tilts its head like it knows you, and you wonder, not for the first time, if the stories are just old gossip, or if history is just magic's way of keeping its secrets with better handwriting. You find a broken teacup half buried in the moss. There's dried lavender stuck in the porcelain. Someone once had tea here, a long time ago, while the kingdom burned and dragons wept like tired gods, and still, the moon rises soft and slow, uncaring. The world doesn't rush anymore. Neither should you. The road into Dragonmere is not paved. It never was. It's a dirt path flanked by hedges that look more like they're plotting something than growing. Thorny, overgrown, unapologetic. Somewhere, a cricket chirps out of tune, probably fired from the orchestra. You pass a signpost made of bone, not wood shaped like bone, actual bone. No lettering, just a carved arrow pointing vaguely southeast. Helpful, a breeze brushes your neck. Not cold, not warm, just curious. Like it's checking to see if you're real. Your boots crunch over leaves that haven't fallen from any visible tree. The stars above shift, yes, shift as if realigning for a better view. You don't question it, not tonight. There's a sound behind you, clink, clink, clink. You turn, it's an old woman in robes the color of drowned lavender. She's dragging a basket full of spoons, just spoons, hundreds of them. She stops beside you, exhales like she's lived through 4 betrayals and a mild tax scandal. They say, Saranya cursed the air here, she tells you. Breathe too deep, and you start remembering things that never happened. You nod, politely pretending to understand. She offers you a spoon. It's warm. You don't take it. She shrugs. Mutters something about the Third Moon War and how lovers never return the ladles. Then she's gone. Just like that. And yet, the spoon remains. On the ground, still warm. Scholars at the Citadel once wrote a treatise on magical spoons. It was promptly burned by a Tali who believed cutlery should never be enchanted. No dignity in dining if your soup stirs itself, he declared. Bold words for a man who ate pudding with a dagger. You continue. The path narrows. Trees bend inward like nosy ants at a wedding. Something about this place always feels like it's listening, but not unkindly, just interested. In the distance, you hear a melody, soft, almost reluctant. You follow it until you find a glade lit by floating candles. No source, just candles, floating, flickering with rhythm, like they're breathing. A harp plays itself in the shadows. At the center of the glade is a chair, or a throne. It's hard to tell. It's made of vines and books and silver thread. A spider dangles lazily from one armrest, knitting. You don't sit, you just watch. A scroll lies open near the throne. Its words glow faintly. Saranya kept her secrets buried under names she never wore. They bloom only for those who dream while waking. You close your eyes. When you open them again, the candles are gone. The glade is gone. The throne is now just a stump covered in moss. The harp, a shattered branch. But the melody lingers in your bones. Time, you realize, is optional here. And perhaps, so is truth. There's a scent, now dried apples, beeswax, and just a hint of something smoky. Like a spell someone forgot to extinguish. You follow it. The path curls like ribbon dropped by a careless princess, winding past a virat statues of forgotten heroes. One wears a sock on his head. It's carved in marble, which means someone made a very deliberate and hilarious choice. Welcome to the outer garden of Queen Saranya's summer palace. According to footnotes in a banned text, only allowed musicians in her court if they could play in 13/8 time and wear feathers somewhere tasteful. Bards who dared sing without poetry in their blood were politely turned into frogs. Emphasis on politely. They were offered wine first. The garden used to be filled with glass roses, enchanted to bloom during heartbreak. Now, only one remains, and it's cracked. You lean in close. The petals whisper things you wish you hadn't heard. Something about Jon's smirk, and the lie Daenerys always pretended to believe. Some say this garden is where she first dreamed of firelight and betrayal. Some say nothing happened at all. Historians still argue whether this place ever truly existed, or if it was invented by poets drunk on dragon wine and sibling envy. The evidence: a single drawing found in a love letter addressed to my sister, who married the storm and never looked back. You sit for a moment beneath a willow tree shaped like an apology. Its branches curl gently around you, not threatening, just ... lonely ... A hummingbird lands on your sleeve. Wait, no, not a bird. A tiny mechanical wyvern with rose gold wings. It looks at you, judging, then sneezes sparks and flies off. You say nothing. This is all normal now. Somewhere, a clock chimes a time that doesn't exist. And you feel it again, that hush, that delicious stillness. Like the world has exhaled and forgotten what it was rushing toward. You take out the warm spoon. Yes, it's in your pocket. Now don't ask how, and dip it into the silence. It tastes like honeyed secrets. You find the staircase by accident. It's not really a staircase, more of a suggestion. A line of moss-covered stones leading downward into the belly of the garden. The air smells older down here, like parchment soaked in rain, and a grandmother's wardrobe. This is the whisper cellar. Serenia, according to one unverified bard with a flair for melodrama, kept her truest thoughts here, not in books, not in scrolls, but in jars. Yes, jars. Hundreds of glass jars, each sealed with wax and tied with thread spun from the manes of unicorns. The unicorn part is contested. Some say it was goat hair dipped in silver. The bard in question was later turned into a loaf of bread for poetic exaggeration. You walk through rows of shelves, each labeled in delicate script. Regret, Season 3, he said. He'd call that time, I almost burned a kingdom, but chose a peach instead. You pause at one labeled, John's breath, while sleeping. Inside the jar, fog. It curls against the glass, as if offended. You smile, softly, sleepily. This is what they never taught at the Citadel, that queens mourn in jars, and lovers lie with poetry leaking from their mouths, and that sometimes the saddest places are also the safest. There's a map on the wall here, drawn in lipstick. It shows a kingdom that doesn't exist, except in dreams or arguments between witches and historians. It's shaped like a broken heart, with wings. And underneath it, written in crooked ink, he said he'd never leave. So I built a kingdom no one could find. You sit again. You do that a lot here. It's encouraged, and the walls begin to hum, a lullaby of stone and spellcraft. You can't make out the words, but the tone is unmistakable. Gentle mockery wrapped in velvet, the kind of song you'd sing to an ex who forgot your birthday but remembered your enemies. You lean back, let the moss cradle you, let the jars whisper what you already know. Time drips here, not ticks, and sleep. Well, it's just another kind of remembering. You wake, sort of, not from sleep, but from a memory you didn't know you had. The cellar is gone. Now you're in a corridor of mirrors, not glass, polished obsidian, black as midnight and twice as secretive. The reflections don't follow your movements. Some are ahead of you, some look tired of you entirely. You nod to one, it rolls its eyes. Fair enough, this is the Hall of Echoes, built by Serenia's favorite niece, a warlock turned interior designer who believed truth should be decorative. The mirrors, it said, reflect what your soul looked like after betrayal but before tea. You walk slowly. Every few steps, a whisper curls from the wall like steam. She knew. He lied and smiled. They never meant to leave you behind. They just forgot you weren't a weapon. You reach for a doorknob shaped like a dragon's fang. It's warm, of course. It is. Inside the next room, a library that smells like cinnamon and heartbreak. Books float lazily in the air, rearranging themselves based on your mood. One particularly dramatic tome flutters open near you, pages sighing. Chapter 1: The bed they shared and the lie she never asked about. You don't read further. Instead, you drift past shelves labeled poetry written during sieges, love letters to swords, and edible scrolls for emergencies. A book falls at your feet. You pick it up. Title: Things Daenerys thought but never said aloud. Inside, a single sentence: I knew he was lying, but I liked the sound of his breath in my sheets. You set it back gently. A chair pulls itself toward you. You sit automatically. A cup of warm plum tea appears in your hand. The cup is cracked. So are you. You sip. It tastes like memory. And maybe just a touch of vengeance. From the library, a spiral staircase rises, winding through shadows like a question no one once answered. You ascend, up here. The air is thinner, clearer. It smells like snow and old secrets. This is the Tower of Silk and Fire, a place where queens once came to unravel quietly, privately, and in robes that cost more than most villages. According to a dubious account from a jealous lady-in-waiting, Saranya once spent 42 consecutive nights here, drinking warm wine and cursing every man whose name began with J. The tower room is round, draped in silk from ceiling to floor, lavender, gold, storm grey. The fabric whispers as you walk. It's judging your outfit. You open the shutters. Outside, a sea of stars. They stretch endlessly, lazily, as if even the cosmos got tired of ambition. You see dragons there, not real ones, but you know better. One moves. You blink. It doesn't move again. Of course not. You find a bed in the center of the room. Oversized, overindulgent, stuffed with down, perfumed with forgotten flowers. The kind of bed someone would lie in while plotting revenge through tears. A scroll lies on the pillow. You unroll it carefully. He slept with lies on his tongue, and I kissed them goodnight. Poetry, or a threat, it's hard to tell. Some say Daenerys visited this tower in disguise, long before the throne room and ash, just to see what the older Targaryen women had whispered into the stones. Scholars still debate whether she ever sat in this room, or if she dreamed it during her final flight. You lie down, the bed sighs like it missed you. The silks settle, the wind hushes, and once again, time forgets itself. The tower dissolves, not abruptly, just politely, like a dream that knows you're waking and decides to sneak away without a scene. You're walking again, this time through a courtyard lit only by the glow of enchanted mushrooms. Yes, mushrooms. Bioluminescent, moody, and if the stories are true, occasionally fluent in High Valyrian. A hedgehog in a tiny helmet scurries past you. You don't question it. It's rude to interrupt a knight on duty. This is the moon garden. It blooms only when someone remembers what they almost confessed. Saranya is said to have planted it during one of her more existential summers, after a prophecy told her she would marry her enemy, love her brother, and die alone, surrounded by spoons. Only one of those came true, but we're not saying which. The flowers here bloom backward, petals curl inward, revealing not colors, but emotions. You pass a crimson blossom leaking jealousy. A pale blue vine hums quietly with nostalgia. You find one that doesn't open. For you, it trembles. Label reads, regret, untouched. You don't press it. On a bench sits a cat the size of a wolf. Silver fur, mismatched eyes, one gold, one storm. It's reading a romance novel with a dagger sticking out of it. Casual. It glances up at you. You'll want to avoid the green ones. It says. You blink. The cat sighs, closes its book, and vanishes into fog like it's done this before. Of course it has. A tree near the edge of the garden hums. Its bark glows with words burned in by someone angry and poetic. She wanted honesty. He gave her loyalty. It wasn't the same. You sit beneath the tree, let it read to you. The bark speaks in a whisper only your bones understand. And far above, the stars keep their secrets. You let them. Now, A bath. You didn't ask for one. But the path leads you to a courtyard of steam and stone, where water ripples in pools carved by dragon claws and forgotten wives. This is the sanctuary of the Sigh, a place for washing away what words couldn't fix. The air is warm and damp, scented with rosemary, milk, and melted silver. A raven caws from somewhere unseen, offended by nothing in particular. You remove your boots, yes. Even in dreams they smell like betrayal, and step into the pool. The water welcomes you like a memory. You finally stopped fighting. Soft, honest, slightly passive-aggressive. Above you hangs a mural painted on wet stone, depicting the final bath of a queen no one remembers. She's surrounded by scrolls, pearls, and 3 men holding torches. One is blind, one is crying, one is crying, one is yawning. That the symbolism is unclear. Historians still argue if the queen drowned, ascended, or simply decided she'd had enough and left by boat. A floating tray drifts by with a cup of tea and a biscuit shaped like a dragon's paw. You eat it. It tastes like warmth, nostalgia, and something that might be cinnamon or might be sarcasm. You hear voices. The bath echoes not with sound, but memory. She never trusted him. He smelled like winter, and excuses. She died knowing more than she told. That was her revenge. You sink a little deeper. The water curls around your neck like silk. The sky above is turning the color of old parchment. Time is slowing again, or watching you from behind a cloud. You stay like that for a long while, long enough to forget the urgency you brought with you, long enough to remember why softness is sacred, and long enough to know this story is not about endings. It's about what you let go of, so you can finally rest. The pool vanishes when you blink, as dreams do. Now you're barefoot, walking across smooth obsidian tiles. They reflect starlight, but no stars, just the ghosts of torches long extinguished. You're in the Ember Hall, a circular chamber beneath the palace, said to have once been a dragon nursery, or perhaps a wine cellar with very theatrical lighting. The truth is muddled, like most things that involve royalty, fire, and unresolved emotional baggage. The air here crackles faintly, not loud enough to alarm, just enough to suggest something powerful slept here long ago. Something with wings and a long memory and an inconvenient temper. The walls are lined with relics, not labeled, just waiting. You pass a golden earring shaped like a crescent moon, half buried in ash. A silk ribbon embroidered with the word almost. A dagger made entirely of bone, its hilt wrapped in red thread. A note beside it simply reads, "For when forgiveness isn't fashionable." You pause in front of a glass display that holds nothing, but it hums. Some say this was where Daenerys left the piece of herself she couldn't keep. The part that loved too hard, too fast, too long. The part that stayed when everyone else left. A soft wind moves through the chamber. It smells like dragon breath, warm pears, and the kind of old parchment you shouldn't touch without gloves. A tapestry on the wall ripples slightly, woven in silver thread. It shows a woman sleeping beside a man she doesn't trust. They are facing the same direction, but dreaming different things. You hear her voice, not aloud, not in words, just the feeling of it. I knew he would lie, but I still made space for his armor. The embers in the floor pulse once like a heart that hasn't quite decided to stop, and then the silence returns, full and heavy. You leave nothing behind, because what haunts this place was never yours. You emerge from the ember hall into a corridor hung with veils. They float even when there's no wind. They smell faintly of myrrh, salt, and secrets kept out of spite. You brush one aside and find yourself in a chamber made entirely of moonlight. This is the Queen's Solarium. No windows, no torches, just moonlight pouring in through a cracked ceiling as if the heavens couldn't help themselves. The dust dances in it like it's being paid. The floor is made of polished white stone, cooled beneath your feet. There's only one chair in the room. It's draped in a fur cloak, black as night, heavy with disuse. It still smells like him. You don't sit. Instead, you look up. Above you, written across the broken dome in slow, deliberate script, she loved him like prophecy, and he disappointed her like history. You smile. Of course he did. On the wall, a mirror hangs at an angle. It reflects not your face, but your choices. You look older in it. Not in years, just in softness, lost. You move toward the table in the center. Laid out are old, delicate things. A ring too small for war. A goblet half full of cold tea. A letter sealed with wax and never opened. A single braid of silver hair tied with string. You reach for none of them. Instead, you take the scroll that rests atop the table. Brittle with time, it reads, "She bathed in wine the night before she let him touch her, not to forget, but to remember it the way she wanted to." Some say this was the last room she sat in before she rose. Others say she never left at all. No one agrees what truly happened. Not the poets, not the maesters, not even the crows who watched from the battlements. But the room remembers, and now so do you. You turn, the veil parts again, and sleep follows like a loyal servant. You find yourself on a bridge of glass, no railings, no end in sight. Just endless, transparent sky beneath your feet and moonlight that seems far too interested in your emotional well-being. This is the SKYWALK built according to legend by a lovesick architect who believed the best way to process heartbreak was to make other people dizzy. He fell in love with a witch. She fell in love with someone taller. The bridge stretches across nothingness, connecting nothing to nowhere. You walk anyway. With each step, the glass beneath you hums, revealing snatches of memory like fish beneath water. A silver-haired girl with eyes like stormlight. A man who said nothing, but meant everything, and then didn't. A crown melting in slow fire as the sky turned ash-grey. A kiss that tasted like winter and war. You pause in the center above you. Stars gather in unnatural clusters. One shaped like a hand held out in apology. Another, like a crown cracked down the middle. A third, more obscure. A wine goblet tipped over in quiet defiance. The air grows colder here. Not cruel, just honest. A whisper reaches you. A woman's voice, dry and amused. He asked me why I didn't scream when he lied. I told him I'd already done that in my last life. You don't know if it was Daenerys or Serenia, or maybe just the bridge itself. Finally, tired of holding up everyone's trauma, you keep walking, not because there's a destination, but because this path was built to carry ghosts forward. And tonight, you're one of them. You reach the end of the bridge, or rather, the beginning of something smaller. A garden, again, but not the other one. This one is quieter, tired in a dignified way. This is the garden of the last spell. No colors, heronly shades of silver, ivory, and the deep blue of ink spilled by candlelight. The flowers do not bloom, they wait. Each one holds a spell that was never cast, a wish whispered once, then buried, a name never spoken aloud. The air hums with the ache of restraint. At the center of the garden is a stone table. On it, a book, thick, leather-bound, its spine etched in gold. Title: The Spells She Never Used. You open it. Slowly, most of the pages are blank, but some hold phrases that feel like dacia vu, for silencing men who mistake silence for consent, for remembering the night before the betrayal, but only the warmth, for hearing his heartbeat without forgiving him. A small vial rests in the book's hollowed center. It glows faintly. You do not drink it. Instead, you sit beside the table. The stone is warm. Someone else sat here recently, or maybe it just remembers her. You hear footsteps behind you. You turn. No one, only a cloak draped on a low-hanging branch. Torn, soft, scented like pine and old tears. You run your fingers over the stitching on the hem in tiny gold thread. She didn't burn the world. She just stopped apologizing. The flowers sigh around you, not blooming, just releasing, letting go of what they held, and the spell that was never cast. It doesn't need to be. Not tonight, because what she wanted most was rest, and you, dreamer, are the one who came to remember that. The garden fades behind you, like mist curling back into the trees. You are somewhere new now, somewhere old. A chamber carved from the ribs of a fallen dragon, yes. Truly. This is the spine room, where the bones of Viverell the Red were polished, smooth by time, grief, and the hands of Targaryen women who came here to confess not to gods, but to themselves. You walk between curved, golden-tinged walls. Everything smells like smoke, leather, and salt. Not tears, sea salt. Because this is where queens learned to mourn without weeping, where they turned heartbreak into strategy, and romance into a well-written footnote. At the center is a nest, not of twigs but scrolls, letters, threads, bits of metal. A crown made of broken mirrors lies within it. It hums with old magic, or perhaps just old pain. You kneel beside it and brush dust from a message written on charred parchment. He called me fire, but he was the one who burned me. You sit. A gentle wind moves through the room. From nowhere, from memory, it carries the sound of her voice again, softer this time. If he'd told me the truth, I'd still have lied to myself. You laugh, quietly, not because it's funny, but because it's true. One of the dragon's ribs is hollowed. Inside it, you find a hair comb carved from obsidian, cracked down the middle. A ring with no gemstone. A list of names scratched into wood, and one name scratched out. You don't touch anything. You don't need to. This room isn't for action, it's for recognition. And you've recognized enough. You walk out slowly, carrying nothing, but somehow lighter than when you entered. One final place, one final hush. You are in a chamber with no doors, no ceiling, no windows, just darkness that doesn't threaten, and light that doesn't try too hard. This is the hollow crown, where queens come when they are no longer queens, where power isn't worn, but set down gently, folded, tucked into silk, and left for someone else to find when they are ready to ruin themselves with it. In the center of the room is a bed. Not like the others, this one is simple, low, covered in wool and linen. No banners, no embroidery. A fire glows at your side. A real one, small, quiet, almost shy. Beside it sits a book, bound in red leather. blank. Its title is not on the cover, but when you open it, the first line appears on the page as if written just for you. What she thought while he slept in her bed and lied. You turn the page, it's empty, because the rest is yours too, right? You lie down and the room, this strange, final room, starts to breathe, softly, gently, as if it too is falling asleep. Above you, stars begin to appear, but not in the sky. In the ceiling, less dark, like freckles on a forgotten god's shoulder. A breeze moves over your body, warm, weighted with lavender and dragon flame, and far away, someone hums a lullaby no one's sung since the throne was melted into memory. You close your eyes. The book remains open beside you, waiting, but not demanding, because the hollow crown asks for nothing. It only offers this: a place to be tired, a place to be soft, a place to end without apology. The bed beneath you does not creak, it simply receives you, like it's done this before, night after night, century after century, for queens who forgot how to ask for comfort, and for dreamers who carried too much fire in their chests. The fire near your side is small now, dimming, not dying, just satisfied. Its glow washes the room in a color that doesn't have a name, somewhere between candlelight and confession, and the stars above you, still there, still blinking in their lazy, knowing way, like they've seen too many thrones rise and fall to be impressed by ambition anymore. You are not cold. The air is warm, kissed with the scent of lavender, burnt parchment, and maybe, if you're honest, a hint of the perfume she wore when she still believed him. A soft blanket tucks itself over you. You don't move. There's nowhere else to go. Not tonight, not in this hour, when the kingdom forgets its war, and all the dragons are asleep with their noses tucked beneath their wings. In the distance, the walls hum, not words, not melody, just ... presence. Like the stones themselves, remember her name, whisper it now and then, not out of reverence, out of fondness. She was fire, yes, but also the quiet that follows after. The book beside you closes, not abruptly, just enough that page you left open breathes once, then waits. Outside the hollow crown, nothing stirs. The wind has lain down in the garden. The mirrors have gone still. Even the spoons are quiet. And you are soft now, and safe, and still. Let the embers rest. Let the memory fade. Let her thoughts be yours now. Not heavy, not loud, just lingering in the dark, like the scent of wine and forgotten truth. You made it, dreamer. You remembered her. You let her sleep, and now, so will you.